The world at the moment needs, in my view, three things. It needs strong economic growth, it needs more democracy, and it needs this green transition to deal with climate change. And India is a shining example of all three of those things. And I think we do need a reset. The world has changed hugely since the institutions were set up after the Second World War. And so it's time for a reset, both because you see the rise of India. Now, will this century become probably the world's largest economy at some stage during this century? So obviously we need a reset, and countries like India should be at its heart.
What do you see as the key elements of this reset, with India taking a much more prominent role?
Well, first of all, we do need reform of the United Nations Security Council. It should have, and I made this argument, I think, as far back as 2005. When I became leader of the Conservative Party, India was the first country I visited outside Europe. When I became Prime Minister in 2010, India was the first country I visited outside Europe. I like to think that I was an early believer in the Indian century, and it's great to be back here today. And obviously, a permanent seat on the UN Security Council is something that should be India's right in this changed world. But I think we should be clear that although we need these institutions to be changed and we need them to reflect global realities, that debate will inevitably take a long time, and we shouldn't wait for that. And that's why it's so good to see India take its place in more informal global institutions like the Quad. I think that's a great move for India, India's role in the G20, the fact now that the G7 regularly invites India to attend almost as a standing member of the G7, as a fellow democracy. These are all good moves because we need India's perspective on these challenges we face in our world.